Alright, in today's video we're going to discuss about CSS. Now CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. By cascading we mean anything that occurs in a series, in a succession. CSS is used to control the experience. It helps us work on the experience, the elements in a web page. Whatever elements we have designed with the HTML, we design them in the CSS. Now today in this lesson we're going to look at how to work with some simple elements in CSS. So without further ado, okay, now I've linked my CSS. I've created this CSS file here, then I've linked the CSS right here. Having linked the CSS, I'll go over to CSS section. There's something I do. I always to make sure that my code is running properly. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call everything in the site, all tags, all pages, and I'm gonna say color, background color. Okay, is green. Okay, now let me save this, go back to my site and refresh it. Oh, beautiful. So now I know my CSS is working, so I can now start designing this page. So CSS has a very simple syntax. Now the syntax is the tag name. For a tag, we go over here. I have the following tags. I have the table tag, I have the th tag, I have h1 tag, I have the th tag, I have the td, the table data tag, I have alright, these are the following tags I have. Okay, so each time I call any of these tags, I'll have to call them have to call the tags on, like let's say body, the body tag, then I introduce a curly bracket. Now after you call the tag name, the next thing you're going to do is this. You have to now call the section you want to work on. Do you want to work on the font size? Do you want to work on the border? Now what do you want to happen to the border? Let's say we want a solid border. Alright, now this introduces a solid border across the web page. So when I refresh this, you see I have a solid border across the body of this web page. Do you see that? Now this what? So let's go ahead and style this properly, then look at how to divide this. Okay, so h1 okay, So I'll call the table tag. I want it to take the width of 100%. Alright, by doing so, the table takes is being spread out across the page. Alright, then I can say text align center. Okay, now this aligns the text in this table tag to the center, and that adjusts the arrangement. So next I'm going to put a border around them, so I have to do that in the I have to come back to the table heads. So I put a border around the table head, so let me call table head. Okay, now I'll put a border around it. I'll say border. Okay, 2 pixels. Alright, notice that you end your CSS text, you end the CSS script with a what? With a semicolon. So I'm going to refresh this. So around the head, there is a border around the head. So we notice that this border is being created around the head. So I'll create a border also around all the individual elements. So those are the table data. So I'll come to the table data. I'll set border. Alright, so now this design is cut across all this side. So I have this now. I can now look at introducing more codes to this. Okay, this is looking nice. I'll have now, let's go ahead and write. Okay, okay, this aligns the H1 to the center and changes the colors to white. So okay, I'm gonna do I'm gonna set the border radius and then background color. Then for the T head, I'm also setting the border radius. And background color also. Alright, this is what I have now. So you see that Okay, we can make some more space around them. So to do so, I'll introduce padding. Padding around, and I'll say then and I'll put a margin also. Put a margin of 5 pixels. We'd like to have the same code in the table data. Alright, so let's see. Okay, that. Okay, that's pretty more presentable. Okay. Alright, so CSS is so much fun, and everything you're doing in CSS, everything you design in HTML, it looks nice, it looks a little bit disoriented, but with CSS you can put them together and then have them in one place. Alright, so remember to link your style sheet. You create your style sheet file, you create your CSS file, then you use this code link rel equals style sheet href link relative. I'm linking this style sheet. I'm telling to go and refer to a style sheet code. You pick the style sheet code at style.css here. So you're linking this to this what page. So this HTML page, link it to this. When you link it to this, it now makes it easier for me to work. So any code I come in here and pick, any code I bring in here. So the code, any tag name I have here, whatever tag I have introduced here can be rewritten or can be designed as a code. I can manipulate it using my CSS. So all I need to do is call the code name, the tag name. Now in description we're going to look at if I have a tag, if I have a class, maybe as a table, I have a div class, and in this div class I'll have a h1 that says alright, this is a div class of this container 67. Now if I want to call this, since it is a class, I can't, in CSS I can't just call container. I can't say container because I have a class. It is a class. I'm not going to call it say container. Now notice that it doesn't recognize this, okay? But if I put a dot before it, so it recognizes it. It says go to this class and then go down there. This is a class, and then locate it. So if I say color red now and save, what you see is that I created a div class. So when I refresh this page, container 67 is here. Now container 67 is h1, so it is obeying the first rule that says please all h1 text color should be what, white. So what I'm going to do is this: I'm going to go back to the HTML, and since there is no code for this, I'll turn that to a h2 and save. Now if I come back to refresh, now it obeys the rule that says that called it dot container in the CSS. Now I have to now put more rules to it. Now if I go back to the CSS section, container, this text align center, what you notice here is that it takes this text to the center. Alright, now it obeys this, but since the h1 rule precedes over the dot container rule, if I change container 67 to h1, it is going to fall down to obey the first initiated rule before it comes down to obey any letter word rule. So that's CSS for you. We have a lot to work with CSS. Next, we're going to build a simple web page. We're going to build a simple web page using CSS and HTML. Thank you.